is Miriam Cutelis. I am a Cognomovement practitioner. Welcome to Let's Cogno That, where each video explores a fun and creative way to use Cognomovement to improve your life. Now let's go have some fun. Hi guys, welcome to Let's Cogno That. I am Miriam Cutelis and I'm a Cognomovement practitioner. I have a quote that I use all over my house. If you go to my kitchen, you go to my meditation space, you go to my art space, and you will see it. And it says, align with your perfection. And so I thought today we would use our imagination a little bit. We're going to play a little bit. And we're going to play a little bit with this quote of align with your perfection. All my life, I've had predictive dreams. I've had guidance and warnings and advice from what I thought were guardian angels, ancestors, just guardians. And then more recently, I started thinking that perhaps what if the help and the guidance and the advice and the warnings that I was getting was actually from my higher self. So from me, but from, a higher version of myself. So that is the idea that we're going to be playing with today. So you're going to need a pen and a paper, and you're going to need your Cogno ball. And we're going to do some initial brainstorming. So get your pen and paper ready, and I'm going to be asking you some questions for you to jot some of your brainstorming ideas down. So the first initial brainstorming is we're going to talk about if we were to have a higher self, right? If there is a higher version of us. And this one is, it seems like it's tough, but it's actually really easy. Once we calm ourselves down, we can actually answer these questions quite easily. So if there was a higher version of ourself, so like the quote says, align with your perfection. If there were to be a higher version of ourselves, let's start with simple questions. What would she or he look like? And just, we're just playing. We're just loosely listing. We're not worrying about perfection. So who would she or he be surrounded by? Like people in their world. Just think, just write the first thing that comes down and don't question it. And if it's silly, perfect. That means you're doing a good job, because we really want to kind of stretch. Your higher self, what does their living space look like? If there was a higher self or higher version of yourself, what would your living space look like? And so you write that down. Whatever comes up, there is no wrong answer. This one's a fun one. If there was a higher version of yourself, what would you sound like? Would the cadence of your speech be different? Would it be higher, lower? What would you sound like? Here's a fun one. How would you move through space? How would this higher version of yourself move through space? Meaning, how would you walk across a room? How would you walk across, let's say, a gym or a theater? How would you, walk across a platform on a train station? How would you move through space? How would others see you? What would others feel in your presence if there was a higher version of yourself? And again, all and any answer is good. Just be voraciously writing down anything that comes up. What we're trying to do is try new ideas in. We're trying to stretch our minds. So the sillier the ideas, the better. If there were a higher version of yourself, typically, what would you do for fun? Okay, just sit with that for a second. Just be in the moment. If there was a higher version of yourself, what would that higher version do for fun? Obviously, it's you, but a better version of you. So, what would this higher version of you do for fun? Now, here is the most fun one. And of course, anything counts. And what would your name be? What would your name be? Because it could be a different name. And you can list names. You don't have to pick one. You can list several. You know what feels right? What feels right? Try it on. And last, if there were a higher version of yourself, what would be some actions this person would take, either on a regular basis or in relation to their jobs or in relation to their relationships, friendships, family? Actions. What are some actions this higher version of yourself would take? Again, you're just writing whatever comes to your head. Let's just squeeze any and all ideas and place them on paper. All right. Okay. So now put a line on your paper or turn the paper around because we're going to do a second brainstorm because we're going to need that information too. The second brainstorm is if you were your own version of an unconditional loving mother to yourself, what would this person say about you? And not the higher version you, but the you now. Like if you had a mother that was just unconditionally loving you, and it doesn't have to be your own mother. It could be if we're lucky, right? But if we weren't so lucky, then there's no reason why there couldn't be an unconditionally loving mother type of love coming your way. So if that were the case, what would she see and say about you? What would she see in you and say about you? And you can say your name, and then what would this unconditionally loving mother see in you and say about you? And of course, you're still just writing anything that comes up, as silly as it sounds. But do tune into who you are now and what are these qualities that you know are embedded in you that an unconditionally loving mother would see. All right, so now that we have some ideas of where to start, let's begin. We're going to grab our ball and we're going to haul the ball between our legs on the low position. And we're going to begin breathing. We're going to take some slow but deep breaths. Slow but deep breaths. If you inhale through your nose, then it's nice and slow, and let out the air. Fill your lungs in with fresh air with each inhale. And head straight. Now we're going to cast our eyes downward. And I want you to just react to that phrase initially. Align with your perfection. Align with your perfection. That is what we're going to do today. We're going to begin telling the story of your higher self. And that is your first page, your first initial brainstorming that you did. So you can turn that paper and place it in front of you. And you're going to read whatever you wrote out loud. And if anything new comes up that wasn't written down, we're going to also honor that by voicing it. So we're going to say it out loud. We're going to let our bodies, we're going to let our neurology hear what's coming. Okay. So we're going to move the ball left to right. And we're going to tell the story of our higher self. And if you need to, you can look at your paper. And if something new comes up, add it to the list. So your higher self, what would this higher self look like? Describe this higher self. You are at your upper stomach level. What would this higher level look like? You are following the ball with your eyes. And if I'm not doing that every once in a while, it's because I'm reading my notes. But you are holding the ball with two hands and following the ball with your eyes as you're answering these questions. What does your living place look like? What does your living place look like if there was a higher version of yourself? What would your living space look like? Give me some details. If there were a higher version of yourself, what would you sound like? Remember to follow the ball with your eyes. Take a deep breath. And remember to answer me out loud so that your nervous system hears those words. How would you move through space if a higher version of yourself existed somewhere in this dimension or somewhere else? What would this person move through space like? Or what would they sound like? What would they sound like? How would they walk across the room? See them right now? Picture yourself walk across the room. Take a deep breath. What would this higher version of yourself do for fun? What would this higher version of yourself do for fun? You're just answering it. If you need to, look at your notes. If you come up with new things, just voice it as well. Our initial notes were just to get you started, so you feel free to add. What would your name be? Just list them all. Excellent. Take a deep breath. Bring the ball down. All right. So this next section is called the infinity, and we're going to keep the ball about 8 inches from our face, and it's going to move in a figure 8 as our eyes follow the ball. It doesn't matter which hand is holding the ball, as your eyes are following them, whatever is comfortable. And as you're doing this, I'm going to continue to ask you and guide you with the questions concerning this higher version of yourself. And if I look away from the ball every once in a while, it's because I'm reading my notes, but you're keeping your eyes on the ball the whole time. And you're going to move the ball ever so slowly in the 8 formation. Remember to take a deep breath. And if at any point you feel like you have stopped tracking the ball, stay in that area a little longer and make yourself track it and then continue. All right? Now let's continue. We're going to tell the story out loud again of our higher self. Take a deep breath. Excellent. So we're going to be really specific. How would others see you? If there were a higher version of yourself, how would others see you? How would you make others feel? Now, I know these questions, again, seemed pretty silly and like we're playing. What we're doing here is we're planting a seed. In typical life, we often don't allow ourselves to dream big. When we play with these ideas, what we're doing is allowing ourselves to adopt some of these ideas that we would never even think about. And by doing that, we're trying them on and we're stretching the realm of possibility. So definitely write down anything new that comes up, no matter how silly. All right. And again, what would your name be? Say your name, say your new name. I am, and your new name. See how that feels. Now, as you are doing the infinity and you're trying on these new possibilities, you might get some objections. So your body might object to some of these and say, oh no, they're way too silly. I want you to pay attention to the objections that emerge. We're going to be curious about them. We're not going to put them back in the drawer and put them away. We're going to pull them out. And as we're stretching our eyes, we're going to look at them. Take a deep breath. We are going to allow, we're going to be curious. We're going to give any and all objections a voice and allow our nervous system to hear anything and all that's in there concerning these ideas. So, any objections? A hell yeah or a hell no? You're going to give voice. And if I go over an area many times, it's because my eye is not tracking. So I'm trying to make my eye catch the ball back up. And then once it catches, then I continue. Take a deep breath. All right. All right. So take a break. The next part of our Cogno session includes a walking a figure 8. Now, what I want you to do today while pretending, while walking a figure 8 is pretending your name is whatever you gave this higher self name to. Okay, so pick one of your higher self names that you invented today. And when you're walking the figure 8, I want you to try on that name, see what it feels like. As you're walking around, you're going to breathe deeply and you're going to think of you in that name and how it feels to be in that name as you're walking your figure 8. I am not doing that because I have very little space in here. So you are walking a figure 8 at least 3 or 4 times. Excellent. So as you finish, you are sitting back down. And this time, my arms are short and I can't reach both ears. So I'm going to do one at a time. So what you're going to do is you are going to tell the story of your higher self one more time. And we're going to pinch and wiggle the ears from top to bottom like this, the edge of your ears as we tell the story of our higher self and what this person is like, and be really, really detailed. Ready? I'm going to give you maybe 30 seconds to look at your notes and read them out loud as you're pinching your ears from top to bottom. Ready? All right, I'm going to be silent, but you are going to be reading what you wrote on the first page. All right. And now the other ear, you're going to cross your arm and start at the top. And if you want, you can put your paper here in front of you and you can start reading all the different ideas that you came up with about your higher self. And again, if any objections come up, voice those as well. Okay. 30 seconds you have. Maybe about 15 more seconds. If you finish, go back to the top, start over. Pinch and wiggle, pinch and wiggle, pinch and wiggle. Okay. Excellent. All right. So do you remember that last page of unconditional love? Of you wrote a list, the second brainstorm of your unconditional loving mother. And what would she say about you? So the last part of what we're going to do is we're going to hold the ball in a low position. And I want you to think of a person or a pet that you love unconditionally. Find, and it doesn't be someone that's passed or someone that's still here. Time doesn't matter. Just bring them to your thoughts. And when you think about them, my eyes are downward cast, my face is straight. When you think about them, where do you feel it in your body? Take a deep breath. If you can't do this yet, think about them again. Think of a scene, think of a time, a memory with that person or that pet. And the feeling will emerge somewhere in your body first and then spread. So for me, it's on my left abdomen area, upper abdomen. And all right, so I got it. So you got a place. All right. So what you're going to do is I want you to lock your thoughts into that area as you read that unconditional love list. So what would your unconditionally loving mother say about you? And as you're doing that, I want you to move the ball left to right, follow it with your eyes. Remember to connect with that feeling that you just identified in your body. Follow the ball. Every once in a while, take a glance at your list of what would this unconditionally loving mother say about you. And connect with that part of your body again. Read the story that you wrote again. When I say story, I just mean the words that you wrote in the second brainstorm. What would this unconditionally loving mother say about you? And say it in the first person. I am. Excellent. Follow the ball with your eyes as you're saying the statements. You can even pick 2 or 3 to just say over and over again. Excellent. Bring the ball down. Excellent. All right. So we are done with our session of aligning with our perfection. I am super curious about what the outcomes might be from this session, so please do include them in the comments. A couple of announcements. If you'd like me to work with you personally, I do one-on-one sessions in Northern Virginia and worldwide via Zoom. I know these online sessions are helpful and wonderful. I myself found Cognomovement through a YouTube video, and then I became obsessed. But imagine what immense changes can happen with a session that is tailored